Foreigners and Americans flock to Miami. Welcome to This is America from VOA Learning English. Today we'll tell the story of the Miami, Florida. The area is very popular with travelers. The clear skies and sunny days bring people from all over the world. Some visitors return to live in the warm weather and the beautiful semi-tropical environment. You can find Miami easily on a map of the United States. It is on the southeastern end of the southern state of Florida. Miami is part of Dade County, which contains many other cities and towns. Together, those neighborhoods makes up the area known as Greater Miami. The name Miami comes from an Indian word. Many Native Americans lived in the area when Spanish arrived in 1565. However, the native population decreased because of European diseases and the war with the European settlers. The natives who lived under Spanish control until 1821, when Spain sold Florida to the United States. The Seminole Indian tribe strongly opposed American rule. The Seminoles fought three wars with the United States Army. Finally, in about 1858, the Seminoles withdrew to the wet tropical land of the Everglades, where they refused to surrender. In the 1890s, the Miami area had fewer than 500 white American settlers. Over the next century, 3 women strongly influenced the development of the area. The first was Julia Tuttle. She is known as the mother of Miami. Julia Tuttle was a wealthy widow from the north who owned land in Miami. She believed that Miami could someday be an important link between the United States and South America. So she offered land to businessman Henry Flagler, who owned what became known as the Florida East Coast Railway System. He extended his railroad to Miami. The area grew quickly after the railroad arrived in 1896, but a powerful ocean storm damaged Miami in 1926. Then, in the 1930s, the Great Depression slowed most new building projects. The city began growing again after World War II. Miami became a leading center of trade with countries in the Caribbean, Central America, and South America. Many people from the other parts of the United States moved to Florida permanently to enjoy the warm weather. Only 50 years after Julia Tuttle made her deal with Henry Flagler, the population of the Greater Miami area had grown to about 500,000 people. In 1947, the writer Marjorie Stoneman Douglas helped people in Miami understand how development could destroy the Everglades. The Everglades are huge wetlands. They include grasslands and very shallow, slow river. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas' book, called River of Grass, explained how important the Everglades were to the survival of Miami. The same year marked the opening of the Everglades National Park. The third woman to influence Miami was Barbara Bayer Capitman. During the 1970s, she organized a campaign to save Art Deco-style buildings in the city of Miami Beach. Miami business people and local officials opposed Barbara Capitman's efforts. They saw old and damaged buildings, but she saw historic architecture. She succeeded in having Art Deco area added to the National Register of Historic Places. Miami Beach is now famous for the more than 800 colorful buildings designed in the Art Deco style. Today, about 2 million people live in around Miami-Dade County. Many adults leave colder climates to retire in its warm weather. Miami is also home to many immigrants from around the world. About 50% of the people in Miami area came from Spanish-speaking countries in Central America and South America. Haitians are the second largest immigrant group. Canadians sometimes call the Miami area Quebec in the tropics because so many French Canadians retire there. Miami has thousands of manufacturing companies. The port of Miami is a center for international trade and passenger ships. The warm weather has helped the local agriculture industry grow to be one of the largest in the United States. Tourism is another of the city's most important industries. About 10 million people visit Miami every year. There are more visitors from the other countries than from the United States. Many visitors come to swim in the warm waters of Biscayne Bay of the Atlantic Ocean. So take boat trips into Everglades, where they can see many kinds of birds. They might even see alligators. Visitors to the Miami area can enjoy many kinds of sporting events. They can also choose from among many music, theater, and dance performances. The music of Cuban-American rapper Armando Perez represents some of the culture of Miami. He uses a stage name of Beat Bow when he performs. He is also called Mr. Worldwide. Here he performs Feel This Moment with singer Christina Aguilera. The song is from his album Global Warming. Most Cubans in the Miami area came to the United States in the 1960s and 1970s. They came after Fidel Castro ousted Cuban leader Fulgencio Batista in 1959. Cuban Americans play an important part of Miami policies. Miami-born Marco Rubio represents Florida in the United States Senate. Joe Garcia represents part of Miami in the House of Representatives. Like Senator Rubio, Congressman Garcia's parents came from Cuba. Congresswoman Ileana Rose Letinen was born in Cuba. She also represents part of the Miami area in Congress. Some Cuban Americans live in Miami neighborhood called Little Havana. Visitors to the main street called Calle Ocho or 8th Street live with the smell of Cuban coffee and businesses where people roll tobacco into cigars. Visitors can eat traditional Cuban food at restaurants like Versailles. This unofficial Cuban community center has been included in books and films about life in Miami. Miami is home to many people from other Caribbean countries. More than 100,000 Haitians live in the Great Miami area. One neighborhood is known as Little H. The walls of some of the buildings there are painted with huge murals. The pictures tell the history of the Haitian people. A restaurant called Tap Tap in Miami Beach is known for its Haitian food and for performances by the singer and Haitian activist Manon Charles Magun. Like many people in Miami, he fled repressions in his country. Later, he returned to Haiti and served as a mayor of Port-au-Prince. Here, he signs in Haitian Creole. The reporter and fiction writer Carl Hyacin writes for the Miami Herald newspaper. Local people tell their friends from other places to read his books to understand Miami. The writer said he gets all of his ideas from some Florida newspapers. Writer Carl Hiaasen says, "The true stories of my army are much wider than those he could invent."